The girl was born blind, and from the moment she came into the world, life had been a challenge. But she had a spirit that refused to be defeated. She could not see, but she could hear, feel, and imagine in ways that most people could not. From a young age, she was drawn to the sound of music. The vibrations of the piano fascinated her. She could feel the music in her fingers and in her heart. It was as if the piano spoke to her in a language that words could never reach. Her parents recognized her extraordinary gift. They could see how her fingers would dance over the keys, even when she was very young. She could remember long sequences of notes after hearing them only once. They enrolled her in music lessons as soon as they could. The first piano teacher was patient and kind. He could see her potential but also knew she would have to work harder than anyone else because she could not see the keys. Each lesson was a mixture of discovery and frustration. Sometimes she would make mistakes, and sometimes she would play something so beautiful that it brought tears to the teacher's eyes. It was clear that her talent was rare, but she needed guidance, and she was ready to learn. As she grew older, her reputation slowly began to spread. People in her town began to take notice of her ability. They were amazed at how a girl who could not see could play the piano with such precision and emotion. She performed at small local events, and every time, she touched the hearts of those who listened. Music became her world, her comfort, and her purpose. She practiced for hours each day, letting her hands and ears guide her in ways her eyes never could. She had an inner discipline that was unmatched, and she knew that if she wanted to succeed, she had to push herself further than anyone else. One day, she received an invitation that made her heart race. A famous pianist, known all over the world for his incredible skill, would be visiting her city. He was performing at a grand concert hall, and a few selected students were invited to showcase their talent in front of him. Her parents were overjoyed but also nervous. They knew that this was a huge opportunity, but they also knew the pianist was very critical and had a reputation for being harsh with young performers. She felt a mix of excitement and fear. This could be the chance of a lifetime, but it could also be a moment that tested her in ways she had never been tested before. On the day of the event, the concert hall was filled with people. The air was buzzing with excitement. She could hear the murmurs of the audience, the shuffling of feet, and the soft tuning of other instruments. Her heart pounded in her chest as she waited backstage. She felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. She had practiced for months for this very day. She had imagined every possible scenario, but nothing could fully prepare her for what was about to happen. When her turn came, she was guided onto the stage. She could feel the polished wooden floor beneath her feet and the cool air of the hall brushing against her skin. The spotlight hit her, and she could hear the sharp intake of breath from the audience. She walked confidently to the piano and placed her hands on the keys. The room was silent. All eyes were on her, including those of the famous pianist, who sat in the front row. She could feel his gaze like a weight on her shoulders. The first note she played was soft, almost hesitant. She adjusted her fingers and let the music flow. As she played, her confidence grew. Her fingers moved effortlessly across the keys, producing a melody that was both powerful and delicate. She poured all her emotion into the performance, feeling every note as if it were a part of her soul. But just as she began to lose herself in the music, a sharp, mocking laugh broke her concentration. She paused for a moment and realized it was the famous pianist. He had leaned back in his seat, shaking his head and smirking. His words, loud enough for the audience to hear, cut through the air. How can anyone expect her to play properly? She cannot even see the keys. The audience giggled, some nervously, unsure of how to react. Her heart sank, and a wave of embarrassment washed over her. For a moment, she considered stopping, letting the mockery define her. But then she remembered all the hours she had spent practicing, all the sacrifices she had made, and all the people who believed in her. She took a deep breath and reminded herself that this was her moment, not his judgment. She closed her eyes, letting the pianist's words fade into the background. She focused on the feel of the keys beneath her fingers, the vibrations of the music in her body, and the rhythm that had always been a part of her life. Slowly, she began to play again. This time, her music was stronger, more confident, and filled with emotion that words could not describe. Each note seemed to rise above the mockery, speaking directly to the hearts of the audience. People leaned forward, captivated by the music. The pianist's smirk faded as he listened, his eyes widening in surprise. He had expected mediocrity, but what he heard was extraordinary. The girl played as if she were in a world of her own, a place where sight was irrelevant, and only music mattered. The melody swelled and dipped, carrying the audience through a journey of joy, sorrow, and triumph. She could feel the energy of the room shifting. The mocking laughter had disappeared, replaced by a profound silence. Every person in the hall was mesmerized. She poured everything she had into that performance, not for recognition or praise, but because music was her truth. She let her heart guide her hands, and in that moment, nothing else existed. When she finally finished, the room erupted in applause. The sound was deafening, echoing off the walls and filling every corner of the hall. People stood, clapping and cheering, some with tears in their eyes. The famous pianist, who had once mocked her, now sat in stunned silence. He approached her slowly, his expression a mixture of awe and respect. He reached out his hand and said, "That was incredible. I have never heard anything like it." She smiled, a quiet, victorious smile, knowing that she had proven not just to him, but to herself, what she was capable of. Backstage, her parents hugged her tightly, their eyes shining with pride. She had faced humiliation and doubt and had emerged stronger. This was only the beginning of her journey, but it was a turning point. She had shown the world that blindness could not limit talent, and that courage and perseverance could overcome even the harshest criticism. The experience left her more determined than ever to continue pursuing her passion for music, knowing that the power of her gift could touch hearts and inspire people in ways nothing else could. The memory of that moment, when mockery was transformed into admiration, would stay with her forever, shaping the musician and the person she was becoming. After her first encounter with the famous pianist, the girl returned home with a mix of emotions swirling inside her. Pride and accomplishment sat side by side with the sting of humiliation. She had experienced something incredible on that stage, yet the words of mockery echoed in her mind. At first, she wanted to forget the moment, to push it away and pretend it had not happened. But deep down, she knew she could not run from it. She had to face it, not by avoiding the challenge, but by improving herself and proving, even more, what she was capable of. She went to her room, sat at her own piano, and let her fingers run across the keys. The music that came out was different this time. It was quieter, more reflective, but also filled with determination. She practiced long into the night, pushing herself to master pieces she had only dreamed of playing. Each mistake she made became a lesson. Each note she struggled to perfect became a stepping stone. She refused to let the ridicule define her. Instead, she let it fuel her determination. Her parents noticed her intense focus. They could see how deeply she felt the criticism, but they also saw her refusal to be defeated. They encouraged her every day, reminding her that true talent does not need validation from anyone who does not understand it. Friends and teachers who had supported her from the beginning became her pillars of strength. They reminded her that she had already accomplished more than most could ever dream of. Their words gave her hope, and she began to channel her energy into practice with a renewed sense of purpose. Days turned into weeks, and she immersed herself in music. She explored new pieces, experimented with different rhythms, and developed her own style. She started to listen not only with her ears, but with her whole body, feeling the vibrations of each key and the emotional weight of each melody. She discovered that music was more than notes and rhythm. It was a language that could express joy, sorrow, anger, and love all at once. Even though her body grew tired from long hours of practice, her spirit remained strong. She faced frustration when she could not master a complex piece or when her fingers stumbled over certain notes. Yet she refused to give up. She reminded herself that every great musician faced challenges and that persistence was the key to growth. She found herself imagining the concert hall, imagining the faces of those who doubted her, and letting that vision guide her fingers. She wanted her next performance to be unforgettable, not to show them, but to show herself what she was capable of. During this period, she also learned to trust her instincts more. Sightless as she was, she discovered that she could hear nuances in music that others might miss. She could feel subtle changes in tempo and emotion, and she learned to adapt her playing accordingly. Her piano became an extension of herself, and the connection she felt with it deepened with every passing day. The hours of solitary practice became meditative, a place where she could pour all her emotions without fear of judgment. Her family witnessed the transformation in her. They saw a girl who had once been discouraged by a single mocking comment now grow into a young musician with a vision of her own. Her dedication inspired them, and they became even more determined to support her dreams. They would sit quietly in the room as she practiced, listening to the music fill the house and feeling a sense of pride that words could not describe. She also began to prepare mentally for the next opportunity to perform. The idea of standing in front of an audience again was daunting, but she refused to let fear control her. She imagined herself on the stage, the piano keys under her fingers, and the audience waiting in anticipation. She visualized herself playing with confidence, letting the music tell her story. These mental rehearsals became just as important as her physical practice. They strengthened her resolve and gave her a sense of calm when anxiety threatened to take hold. Along the way, she met a few fellow musicians who became her friends and mentors. They shared their experiences, their struggles, and their advice. She listened carefully, absorbing every word, and applied what she learned to her own practice. These relationships reminded her that she was not alone in her journey, that even the most talented musicians faced obstacles and had to overcome doubt and fear. She began to feel a sense of belonging in the world of music, a place where her blindness did not define her, but rather shaped her unique perspective. Her teachers noticed remarkable progress. The precision of her notes, the emotion she infused into her playing, and the control she had developed were beyond what they had expected. They began to push her even harder, introducing pieces that were technically challenging and emotionally complex. The girl embraced these challenges with enthusiasm, knowing that each new piece was another chance to grow. She learned to balance technique with expression, understanding that music was not just about playing the right notes but about conveying a story that could move people. Every day, she pushed herself a little further, learning patience and perseverance along the way. She understood that mastery would not come overnight and that the journey was just as important as the destination. Each hour of practice, each mistake corrected, and each new piece learned added to her confidence and skill. She began to feel a sense of pride in her growth, knowing that she was becoming a stronger musician with every passing day. Even though the memory of the famous pianist's mockery lingered, it no longer controlled her. Instead, it became a quiet motivator, a reminder of what she wanted to achieve. She understood that her music was not just for herself but for everyone who believed in her and for those who might doubt her. She wanted her next performance to be a testament to the power of dedication, courage, and passion. By the time the next performance opportunity approached, the girl was ready in every way possible. She had grown not just as a musician but as a person. Her hands were more confident, her mind sharper, and her heart stronger. She had faced challenges, overcome self-doubt, and transformed criticism into motivation. She had learned that true talent was not defined by what others thought but by the effort, emotion, and sincerity one put into their craft. Her parents, teachers, and friends were amazed at her growth. They could see the determination in her eyes, the grace in her movements, and the confidence in her demeanor. She carried herself differently now, not because she sought approval, but because she understood her own worth and the value of her gift. Music had become a part of her identity, and she knew that nothing could take that away. The girl's story during this period was not just about practice and preparation. It was about resilience, courage, and transformation. She had faced mockery and doubt and had turned it into fuel for growth. Every note she played was a reflection of her journey, every melody a testament to her determination. She was ready to step back into the world, not as someone seeking validation, but as a young musician who had discovered her own voice and the power of her talent. The day of the next big performance arrived, and the girl could feel a mixture of nerves and excitement building inside her. She had worked tirelessly for weeks, preparing every note, every passage, and every emotion that she wanted to express. She knew this was more than just a performance. It was an opportunity to show herself and the world how far she had come. She could not see the faces in the audience, but she could feel their presence, their whispers, and their curiosity. The air was thick with anticipation, and her heart raced as she was guided to the stage. When she reached the piano, she placed her hands gently on the keys. The polished surface was cool under her fingertips, and she felt a sense of calm wash over her. She took a deep breath, recalling all the hours of practice, all the lessons learned, and all the determination that had brought her here. She remembered the mockery from the famous pianist, but instead of fear or anger, she now felt motivation. She was ready to show the world that talent and passion could overcome any doubt. The audience waited in silence, and she began to play. The first notes were soft, delicate, and filled with emotion. Each key she pressed resonated not just in the hall but in her heart. She allowed herself to become one with the music, letting her fingers flow naturally over the keys. She did not focus on the crowd or the critics. She focused on the sound, the vibrations, and the story she wanted to tell through her playing. The music rose and fell, carrying the audience on a journey they could feel, even if they could not see the story behind it. As she played, she could sense a change in the atmosphere. The whispers and skeptical glances had disappeared, replaced by an attentive silence. The audience leaned in, captivated by the depth and emotion in her performance. She poured every feeling she had into the music, the frustration of past doubts, the pride of progress, and the joy of finally expressing herself fully. Her fingers moved with confidence, precision, and grace, as if they were guided by something beyond the physical world. In the front row, the famous pianist watched closely. He had come expecting to find flaws or to see a repeat of the mistakes he had once ridiculed. Instead, he was met with something extraordinary. The girl's performance was not just technically flawless, but it carried a depth and emotion that left him speechless. Every note was deliberate, every phrase full of feeling, and he could feel the sincerity and passion behind her playing. He realized that his mockery had been misplaced, that true talent could not be judged by appearance or circumstance. The girl continued to play, unaware of the impact she was having. Her focus was entirely on the music, on the story she was telling through her piano. The audience was completely immersed, some with tears in their eyes, some with expressions of awe, and some simply sitting in stunned silence. The power of her performance was not just in her technical skill, but in her ability to convey emotion, to reach into the hearts of everyone listening. As the piece progressed, she reached the most challenging section. It was a complex combination of rapid notes and delicate melodies, a part that required both precision and emotional depth. She had practiced this section countless times, but the pressure of the performance made it even more daunting. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and let her hands guide her. Her fingers moved with confidence and fluidity, each note ringing clear and true. She felt a surge of energy and connection, as if the piano and her soul were in perfect harmony. The audience held their breath, mesmerized by the beauty and power of her playing. When she reached the final notes, she let them linger, allowing the sound to fill the hall completely. The last note resonated, and there was a moment of silence, as if the world itself had paused to take in what had just happened. Then, the applause erupted. It was thunderous, filling the hall with a wave of sound and emotion. People stood, clapping and cheering, some unable to contain their tears. The girl smiled softly, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction and pride. She had not only played flawlessly, but she had touched the hearts of everyone present. The famous pianist rose to his feet, joining the applause, his expression a mixture of admiration and humility. He approached her after the performance, his usual confidence replaced by respect. "That was extraordinary," he said. "I have never heard anything like it. You have a gift that cannot be measured by sight alone." The girl nodded, accepting his words gracefully. She had proven to herself, more than anyone else, that her talent and dedication could overcome any obstacle. Backstage, her parents embraced her tightly, their eyes shining with pride. They had watched her transform from a young girl facing mockery into a confident musician commanding the stage. Her teachers and friends congratulated her, sharing their joy and admiration. She felt a sense of fulfillment that went beyond recognition. It was the satisfaction of having worked hard, faced challenges, and succeeded through her own effort and determination. The performance became a turning point in her life. It was not just about the applause or the praise. It was about the realization that she could achieve greatness despite the doubts and obstacles she had faced. She understood that music was her voice, a way to express herself and connect with others, and that her talent could inspire and move people in ways that nothing else could. After the event, invitations to perform at other venues began to arrive. People were eager to hear the young blind pianist who had captivated the audience and even silenced the criticism of a famous musician. She continued to practice diligently, not because she sought fame, but because she loved music and wanted to grow as a performer. Each new opportunity was a chance to share her passion and to touch the hearts of more people. The experience also changed the way she viewed herself. She had learned that challenges and criticism could be transformed into motivation and growth. She no longer feared judgment or ridicule. Instead, she welcomed opportunities to show what she could achieve. Her confidence grew, not from the applause, but from the knowledge that she had worked hard, persevered, and achieved something remarkable. Her journey was a lesson in resilience and courage. She had faced doubt and mockery and had emerged stronger, more skilled, and more determined. Music had become her sanctuary, her voice, and her purpose. She realized that her talent was not just about technical skill, but about the ability to connect with people, to convey emotion, and to inspire others through her art. As she left the stage that day, she felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The memory of the mocking pianist no longer carried power over her. It had been replaced by a sense of triumph and self-belief. She knew that her journey was far from over, but she had reached a milestone that would remain with her forever. The music she played that day had not only dazed the audience, but it had also transformed her, giving her the confidence and determination to continue reaching for her dreams. After the unforgettable performance, the girl's life began to change in ways she had never imagined. The applause she received on stage had not only touched the audience, but it had also reached the ears of music teachers, concert organizers, and even critics. Word of her talent spread quickly, and soon invitations to perform at larger venues began arriving. Each new invitation was both exciting and challenging, but she welcomed them all. She had discovered that her music could move people in ways words could not, and she wanted to share that gift with the world. The famous pianist, who had once mocked her, could not stop thinking about her performance. He had always been confident in his abilities and critical of young performers, but her music had left him speechless. He realized that he had underestimated her, and the memory of his own mockery weighed heavily on him. He wanted to make amends, to acknowledge the young musician whose talent had so clearly surpassed his expectations. He reached out to her, offering words of respect and encouragement. The girl, gracious and confident, accepted his acknowledgement, understanding that her purpose was not to seek revenge or validation, but to let her music speak for itself. As she continued to perform, the girl noticed something remarkable. People were not just impressed by her technical skill. They were moved by the emotion she poured into every note. Her music seemed to reach into the hearts of her audience, connecting with them on a level that went beyond words. She played for people of all ages, in concert halls and community centers, and each performance left a lasting impact. Some cried, some smiled, and some simply sat in silence, completely absorbed by the beauty of her playing. She realized that her gift was more than a talent. It was a bridge between hearts, a way to touch people's lives in a meaningful way. Her family continued to support her, attending every performance and helping her navigate the increasing demands of her growing reputation. They saw how much she had matured, not just as a musician but as a person. She carried herself with grace, humility, and confidence. The experiences she had faced, the mockery, the doubt, the struggle, had shaped her into someone resilient and compassionate. She understood the value of hard work, perseverance, and belief in oneself. Her journey was proof that challenges could be transformed into opportunities for growth and achievement. The girl also became a source of inspiration for others. Young musicians, especially those with disabilities, began looking up to her as a role model. She received letters and messages from people all over, sharing their stories of struggle and hope, and thanking her for showing that obstacles could be overcome. She realized that her music had the power to inspire as well as entertain, and she felt a deep sense of responsibility to continue performing and sharing her gift. Each time she played, she thought of the people who believed in her and those who needed encouragement, and she let that guide her performance. Despite the growing attention and opportunities, she remained humble. She knew that her talent was a gift, and she treated it with respect and dedication. She continued to practice daily, exploring new pieces, refining her technique, and deepening her emotional expression. Every performance was a chance to grow, to learn, and to connect with her audience. She approached each piece with care, ensuring that she not only played the notes correctly, but also conveyed the emotion and story behind them. Her music became a reflection of her journey, a testament to her determination, and a celebration of her resilience. The famous pianist, now a mentor and supporter, invited her to perform at a prestigious event alongside other accomplished musicians. This opportunity was both thrilling and intimidating, but she accepted with courage. On the day of the event, she arrived early, feeling the familiar mixture of nerves and excitement. She knew that she had worked hard to reach this point, and she trusted herself and her abilities. As she stepped onto the stage, she felt the energy of the audience, the anticipation, and the excitement. She placed her hands on the keys, closed her eyes, and let the music flow. Her performance was breathtaking. Every note was precise, every phrase filled with emotion, and every moment resonated with the audience. People were captivated, some leaning forward, some closing their eyes, and some holding their breath as they listened. The famous pianist watched in admiration, proud of how far she had come and humbled by the depth of her talent. When she finished, the applause was thunderous. The audience rose to their feet, cheering and clapping, moved by the beauty and power of her music. She smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment and joy that went beyond recognition. It was the satisfaction of sharing her gift and touching hearts. After the performance, she was approached by many people who wanted to learn from her, collaborate with her, or simply share their admiration. She graciously accepted, understanding that her journey could inspire and help others. She began teaching younger musicians, sharing not only technical skills but also lessons about perseverance, dedication, and the importance of believing in oneself. Her story became a source of hope for those facing challenges, showing that obstacles could be overcome with hard work and determination. Through all of this, she remained true to herself. She never sought fame or recognition for its own sake. Her goal was always to share her music and to grow as a musician. She understood that the journey was ongoing, that there would always be new challenges and opportunities, and that each performance was a chance to connect, inspire, and express herself. She continued to practice, to perform, and to explore the endless possibilities of music, knowing that her gift was something to be cherished and shared. Her triumph was not only in the applause she received or the recognition she gained, but in the transformation she experienced within herself. She had learned to face doubt and criticism with courage, to turn challenges into opportunities, and to let her passion guide her. She had discovered that her blindness was not a limitation, but a part of what made her unique, allowing her to experience and express music in ways others could not. She had grown into a musician of remarkable skill, emotion, and heart, and her story became a beacon of hope and inspiration for all who heard it. In the years that followed, her life continued to be filled with music, performance, and inspiration. She traveled to new cities, played in grand concert halls, and collaborated with other talented musicians. Yet, no matter where she went or how much recognition she received, She never forgot the journey that had brought her here. The mockery, the struggle, the practice, and the determination. Each note she played carried the memory of those experiences, and each performance was a celebration of her growth and perseverance. The famous pianist, who had once been her harshest critic, became one of her greatest supporters. He often spoke of her talent with admiration and pride, acknowledging the dedication and heart she brought to her music. Their relationship transformed from one of skepticism and judgment to respect and mentorship. He would sometimes watch her practice, offering guidance and encouragement, but always with humility, recognizing that she had achieved something truly extraordinary. Through it all, the girl understood that her story was bigger than herself. It was a story of resilience, courage, and the power of dedication. It was a story that could inspire anyone facing doubt or adversity. She realized that talent alone was not enough. It was the combination of skill, passion, perseverance, and heart that truly made a difference. Her music became a symbol of hope, a reminder that challenges could be overcome and that the human spirit could shine even in the face of doubt. The triumph she experienced in this part of her journey was not just about applause or recognition. It was about self-discovery, growth, and the ability to touch others through her art. She had proven that determination and passion could overcome obstacles, that talent was not limited by circumstance, and that even mockery could be transformed into admiration. Her story became a source of inspiration, showing that true success is measured not by external validation, but by the courage to pursue one's dreams and the impact one has on the lives of others as the years passed. The girl who had once been mocked by a famous pianist continued to grow as a musician and as a person. Her story became known not just in her city or country, but across the world. People spoke of the blind girl who had transformed mockery into triumph, who had faced doubt and criticism and had emerged stronger and more talented than anyone could have imagined. Invitations to perform in grand concert halls, music festivals, and special events kept arriving, and she accepted them all with grace and humility. Her music became a symbol of hope and inspiration for people of all ages, especially those facing challenges of their own. Her life was busy, but she never allowed it to overwhelm her love for music. Each day, she dedicated time to practice, explore new compositions, and refine her technique. She discovered new pieces that challenged her in ways she had never experienced before, and she embraced each challenge with the same determination that had carried her through her first performances. She experimented with different styles and genres, finding ways to blend them into her own unique sound. Her playing became not only technically perfect but deeply expressive, conveying emotion and story in every note. Through her performances, she touched countless lives. People wrote letters and messages to express how her music had moved them, encouraged them, or helped them through difficult times. She often received messages from young musicians who had disabilities or who had been told they could not achieve their dreams. She replied to them with words of encouragement, sharing her own journey, the struggles she had faced, and the lessons she had learned. She wanted everyone to know that obstacles could be overcome with dedication, patience, and belief in oneself. She became a role model and mentor, showing through her life and music that perseverance could lead to extraordinary achievements. The famous pianist, who had once ridiculed her, remained a mentor and supporter. Their relationship evolved into one of mutual respect and admiration. He often spoke about her with pride, acknowledging that her talent, passion, and determination were exceptional. They performed together at events, sharing the stage and inspiring audiences with their music. Through this partnership, she learned that even those who may doubt or criticize us can become allies, once we show our true abilities and commitment. Their story became an example of growth, forgiveness, and the power of talent and dedication. Despite all the recognition and accolades, she remained humble. She understood that her gift was not just for personal achievement, but for sharing with others. Each performance was an opportunity to connect with people, to express what words could not, and to inspire hope and courage. She focused not on fame or accolades, but on the impact her music could have on others. Her performances became experiences where audiences felt the emotion, passion, and heart she poured into every note. As she continued to perform, she also devoted herself to teaching. She began working with young musicians, helping them develop their skills and encouraging them to pursue their dreams. She shared not only technical knowledge, but also life lessons about perseverance, resilience, and the importance of believing in oneself. Her students admired her dedication, humility, and the way she conveyed emotion through music. She became a source of guidance and inspiration, showing them that challenges could be transformed into opportunities, and that success was built on hard work, passion, and heart. The girl's story also reached those outside the music world. People from different fields, from education to social work, shared her journey, using it as an example of courage and determination. She was invited to speak at events, share her experiences, and inspire others with her life story. Her impact extended beyond the piano, becoming a symbol of hope for anyone facing obstacles, criticism, or doubt. She showed that limitations were often only in the mind and that perseverance could break barriers and create new possibilities. In her personal life, she remained close to her family, who had supported her from the very beginning. They celebrated every achievement with her, shared in every challenge, and were always a source of love and encouragement. They had witnessed her transformation from a young girl facing mockery to a confident musician commanding stages and inspiring thousands. Their bond grew stronger as they continued to navigate her journey together, and they took pride not just in her talent, but in her character, humility, and resilience. Over time, her influence grew even further. Schools, organizations, and music institutions began inviting her to teach masterclasses, perform at special events, and mentor emerging musicians. She used each opportunity to share her philosophy that talent alone was not enough. It was the combination of skill, dedication, passion, and courage that created true success. She encouraged young musicians to embrace challenges, learn from criticism, and find strength in their unique abilities. Her story became a beacon of hope, showing that anyone could achieve greatness if they refused to give up. Even with all the recognition and opportunities, she never lost sight of what mattered most: the music itself. She continued to explore, create, and perform, finding joy and fulfillment in every note she played. Each piece became a conversation with the audience, a way to share her emotions and connect on a human level. She discovered that music had the power to heal, inspire, and unite people, and she dedicated her life to using her gift to make a positive difference in the world. Her legacy was not built on fame or awards, but on the lives she touched, the inspiration she provided, and the courage she showed in the face of doubt. People remembered her not only as a blind girl who had been mocked, but as a musician who had transformed mockery into triumph, who had faced challenges with grace and determination, and who had shared her heart through her music. Her story became timeless, a reminder that the human spirit could overcome obstacles, that talent could shine through adversity, and that perseverance could turn dreams into reality. In every performance, she honored the journey that had brought her there. She remembered the mockery, the doubt, the long hours of practice, and the encouragement of those who believed in her. She used those experiences to fuel her passion and to guide her teaching and performances. Her music became a living testament to resilience, courage, and the power of believing in oneself. People who heard her play often described it as transformative, leaving them inspired, emotional, and hopeful. As her career continued, she inspired countless others to pursue their passions, overcome challenges, and embrace their unique gifts. Her story reminded everyone that obstacles were not the end, but a beginning, a chance to grow, learn, and achieve greatness. She became an icon, not just for her musical talent, but for her character, resilience, and dedication to helping others. Her life demonstrated that even the most unlikely challenges could lead to extraordinary achievements, and that true success was measured by the positive impact one had on the world. In the end, the girl who had once been mocked by a famous pianist had not only proven her talent, but had also created a legacy that would inspire generations. She had shown that blindness was not a limitation, that perseverance and dedication could overcome doubt, and that passion and heart were more powerful than any obstacle. Her music continued to touch lives, Her teaching inspired new generations, and her story remained a shining example of courage, resilience, and the transformative power of believing in oneself. She had turned mockery into triumph, doubt into motivation, and talent into a legacy that would live on forever.